Yo, what's up, people? Mm. How you doing out there in YouTube world? This is Shelvon with Gaming and Culture Television. Welcome to the UN, my weekly pop culture discussion. Sometimes I have friends, sometimes I'm here by myself. So today we're gonna talk about the interesting topics for the most part in pop culture as of today. The one thing that I want to talk about is this. I'm gonna watch the trailer for this first. So actually, you know what? Let me click on this. All right. So I'm gonna share this, and this is the trailer for this. All right. All right. If you would have told me that somebody would make a Pokemon game with guns that would be extremely popular, I'd have thought you were crazy. And like, okay, let's share this little thing first before I go look at the trailer. All right. This game sold 1 million copies in 8 hours as Steam servers struggled to cope with the launch. So 1 million copies. Powered Pokemon with guns. Launched this morning, January 19th, and quickly shot to the Steam's best-selling games list, which I can attest because there's plenty of people playing this game on YouTube. At the time of the article's publication, Palworld overtaking Battle Royale PUBG in third place with 365,000 concurrent players and a very positive review rating. So, the huge influx of players at launch. However, Pocket Pair and Powerwall servers have become unstable, which may cause connection issues. Which is probably what happens when you have something that's way more popular than you planned on. So you don't plan on some people playing it, but like that's a lot. And so, from what I can see of the people who are playing it right now, the server issues aren't that bad. So, all right. Let's check out the trailer for it first, and then the IGN has an article where they basically show some Pokemon players discussing this. So, all right, let me share this. Yeah, it's Pokemon. It's like the characters look like Pokemon characters. I have no idea why Nintendo is not having a cow about this. Now let me turn it down a little bit. Yeah, I'm not sure how Nintendo is okay with this. That's Pokemon. That's looks like Pokemon. The music sounds like Pokemon, except you have a pistol, which is it's crazy. What the hell? You got a Pokemon factory. That's crazy. What? All right. Hold on. Let me stop this. But that's crazy. Is Pokemon with guns, and it's MMO Pokemon, right? I'm I don't like I haven't played every Pokemon game, so forgive me if I don't know this. But I can't imagine why. Well, no. They did have something like this, phone based. It was like a phone based game where everybody was going crazy for it, and you just run around. It's like you run around, and it's like you find Pokemon, right? But this one is like you exist in the world. Like you're inside, you build houses, you build all this other stuff, and I think there's like an evil group of people because that's part of the thing that I saw. Because like I said, I only looked at this a little bit. I'm not the biggest Pokemon fan, so like I said, it looks interesting in terms of and something that's familiar but different, you know. So let's see if I can find this. All right. Find this article that I just read, and it was a bunch of people who are Pokemon fans commenting on this. So let's. All right. So all right. All right. Let's check out what this says. Pokemon fans are coming for Power World with a vengeance. All right. This is on IGN. Uh, Power World, Pokemon with Guns is out and already shooting the top of Steam's most playlists. Like I said before, 365,000 concurrent players, which is insane. The earlier, of course, but already seems safe to declare the game a hit. It's going down well with players too on Steam. Power World is a very positive review rating, but some Pokemon fans are less impressed, and that's because of the clear and obvious similarities between Power World and Nintendo's all-conquering, family-friendly "Gotta Catch 'Em All" franchise. I was like, "Are they too similar for Pokemon, or we in rip-off territory?" No, it looks exactly like Pokemon, so I don't know. So somebody's is let's see now. I hmm, like I said, I'm not the biggest Pokemon thing. Galar Galaran mute with the Meowth face. Okay. So I guess they're just going through and they're just pointing out the similarities. Well, it's just the eyeball test. You can see that it's similar. So okay, all right. Studio Ghibli stole this from Pokemon Company. Yeah, that's funny. So let's see. Since I'm bored as hell, I'm going to be making a thread at this time. I think Power Design Analysis, trying to spot every Pokemon they jumbled together. I think. Now, forgive me if I'm incorrect, but similar but different. So maybe that's what the how they're able to get away with this because it's similar enough, but it's different enough where it's not exactly the same thing. So okay, so they combine. Looks like they combine a lot of them together, and it's close, but not the same. Okay, reminder not to support Powerwell, but it's not even subtle about the ripoffs. How much else can have stolen? Okay. Yeah, well, I don't know. I guess if I actually cared a bit more about Pokemon, it would bother me more. But I kind of really don't. So, but this reminds me of the Halo and the Halo thing with uh, Avatar. All right. Remember the original Avatar came out, and the Halo fans were up in arms a little bit about how similar the vehicle designs in Avatar were to Halo. And, and the director had to point out that these designs come from Aliens 2, which came out before Halo. So it looked like the dudes from Halo actually stole their design ideas from that. Oh, and if you're familiar with both things, they look the same. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a ripoff. It's something that Nintendo probably should, well, not the gun part, but the MMO Pokemon thing, where it's more of less of a gimmick, because that's what that Pokemon game was, more of a gimmick kind of thing on your phone, which was really big, but it's not this. This actually this is a game. So I don't know. More power to him, I guess. So I can't really hate on it. All right. Well, at some point, I do want to talk about the Xbox developer, because there was a bunch of games that I saw that struck me as pretty cool. But there is an article on Film Threat that talks about, and this is kind of like a shift a little bit. So I'm a little all over the place today, but it was an article that came out on Film Threat a while back talking about uh, Disney's, well, kind of where they're at now, I guess. You know, with the state of Disney, I guess, is a good way of saying that. So let me share this article. And I'm gonna put this to the side. So I'm just gonna like kind of glance over it a little bit. So they had a part one, and that was, let's see. See by. So this is Film Threat. Chris Gore and Alan Ing, they have a YouTube channel where they were talking about how when Alan Ing did a review for Wish, and I think I talked about it a little bit, of Wish, and how it was missing a lot of the elements of traditional Disney animation. There are certain things that you kind of like, they kind of figured out how to do this thing where uh you make charming characters that people fall in love with. It's like it's it's not necessarily formulaic, but it is like the hero, like sort of like the hero's journey, where people just kind of resonate with certain things in a certain way. So when he was talking about his review of Wish, a lot of the things that he brought up were how the movie failed at those things. And I mentioned this before on other episodes, and I brought out my books that are basically, well, at least were, I don't know if they still are, required reading for animators, where they discuss these things. So, this is placement of the camera, how to make your character more charming, you know. So when Disney, a good example of all of this is when Disney had its renaissance with the Aladdin and the Little Mermaid and all these other things. So he brought this up in his review, and by him doing that, they got like a lot of emails and whatnot from animators who are kind, do I want to say ashamed? I guess you could say they was a little ashamed at the state of Disney. So this is this is an article that basically he wrote it that discusses the messages that they got from people. And the first one is Disney and the downfall of John Lasseter. I don't know how familiar anybody is with John Lasseter. Basically, John Lasseter is Pixar. All right. Uh, and Pixar. I mean, I think John Lasseter used to be a Disney animator, and he left at some point in order to help start Pixar with Steve Jobs, and they wanted to make 3D movies. So, using strangely enough, uh, it was actually tied into Lucasfilm. I think, yeah, if I remember correctly, Pixar started with Lucasfilm as their kind of experimental 3D animation department of Lucasfilm. Like, and I'm just trying to do all this from memory. And Steve Jobs eventually purchased it, I think, from George Lucas and put more money into it because he saw the future of this particular thing. So John Lasseter he was there at the beginning, and he was a big stickler for story. The most important thing was the story, 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 story. And the way Pixar operated, it's like it takes about 3 to 4 years to make one of these movies. All right. To make any decent animation, it takes a while. And the Pixar way was to do 2 years of just working on the story, character designs, all that until they had it down pat before they started doing anything. Because if you do all the basic stuff first, then when you get to the part where you got to put a lot of money into the animation and whatnot, you can save yourself a lot of heartache on the back end. This is something that Disney has forgot how to do. That's why they spend so much money on their movies now, and that's why their budgets are so huge because they don't do that. They don't figure out what they want to do completely before they start shooting anything. This is the reason why Dune, like the Dune movie that came out a few years ago, and the one that's coming out fairly soon, why those don't cost as much is because he storyboarded the entire movie before they shot one scene. They go through each step and they figure out what works and what doesn't work, and they edit it before they actually film it. So when they get to the point where it's tight, then they film it. So then you just basically film the parts that you need with a little bit of extra stuff here and there. And in the long run, you save a lot of money by doing that. Disney doesn't do that anymore. Basically, what they do is they have a story idea that we're going to story a little bit, and then they just start filming. And then they film a lot, and then they kind of make the movie in post, which is very expensive because once you get to the point where the movie doesn't work, then you have to go back and do reshoots to flush out the story and all that stuff. So you spend a lot of money doing that. All right. So older animators and like they probably didn't like the little boot cap, it's not harsh, but it is strong criticism of your work. All right. So you have to storyboard your section of the movie, and if you look at the behind the scenes on any of these old Pixar movies, you can see them doing this, where you come out, they do the storyboard for it, they write it on the wall, and everybody you show your scene, right? And then the other animators, like they'll laugh if it's funny, and they'll give you tips and pointers to help you in the long run. All right. So that was the Pixar way. That is why their movies were as tight as possible before they did anything. So apparently, the new crop of animators didn't like that, because you get a whole bunch of folks who everybody got trophies, and they were told since they were little children that they're the greatest thing in the world. So to have to go through this little crucible of people analyzing your work, they didn't like that at all. So there's a rumor of them wanting to do that movie Brave. Like a bunch of ladies wanted to do the movie Brave, and I think John Lasseter wasn't that keen on it or something like that. Like I said, I'm going off of something that I saw a long time ago, and he wasn't that keen on it. And if you go see that movie, yeah, it's kind of like, it's kind of like, So that kind of led to his eventual being him eventually being pushed out the door. So it's kind of a little bit of a backstory of what's going on. All right, so how did we get here? As a Disney fan for over 50 years, I was a diehard fanboy of the company to the point that Film Threat readers referred to me as a Disney shill. That's funny. I used to spend thousands of dollars each year throughout the parks buying merch and watching every film that the Walt Disney Company produced, but something changed and the so-called Disney magic began to fade. Yeah, that is they stopped listening to the old guard and basically some of those retired and they got pushed out, and then you got all these new people came in, which happens a lot with any business. It's like once whatever made it sparkle, those people who did that eventually get old and retire, and the situation that caused them to look at the world in the way that they did don't exist anymore, and you get a whole bunch of new people in. All right. A story begins with a single event not so long ago that fundamentally changed the company culturally and creatively. Mind you, this single event is not the reason for the fall of Disney, as will show. These seeds have been planted long ago during the Eisner era. Yeah, when they got cheap and they started doing plenty of direct-to-video type stuff. This event serves as a catalyst for the inevitable creative and financial collapse of the company. Walt Disney started 100 years ago, as Elon Musk surmised. Walt Disney is spinning his grave like a drill bit. That single event was a removal of Disney Chief Creative Officer John Lasseter. The story of Lasseter's demise will be told from the perspective of the rank and file employees at Disney and Pixar, revealing what they observed and how they felt when it happened. All right, so I'm not gonna. If you want to actually read this article, you should go to Film Thread and check it out for yourself. So I'm just gonna kind of skim over it because I have a kind of an idea of what happened. But let's see. Any Disney fan knows the impact of Lasseter's creative influence on the company, along with the founder Steve Jobs. See, that's another one. Steve Jobs started Apple in his or is it or is it Krosniak? So in a garage, right? So Apple was innovative when Steve Jobs was there, and then he had outside forces came in and kind of ushered him out of the company. And for a while, Apple was just like a PC knockoff thing. Till eventually he came back and he brought his innovation back. And that's why you got the iPhone and the iPad and the iPod and all that stuff. All right. But he was also kind of a hard dude because he had high standards. So he was a hard dude to work for. So eventually when he died, it's like that is why Apple is kind of like how it is now, where it's not really that innovative, where they basically let Samsung and other folks do stuff, and then they eventually added to the next incarnation of the iPhone. So there's many cases of where one person is the heart and soul of a company, and when they leave, it just that little spark is gone. So John Lasseter, was one of those people. All right. It's about Toy Story. And okay. Oh, okay. Eventually in 2004, the news of Pixar's impending divorce from Walt Disney Company made headlines and panicked Disney fans. Eisner's magic touch on the company was waning, and Walt's nephew Roy would engage in a hostile attempt to reclaim the company, resulting in installing Bob Iger as the new CEO. Oh, yeah, how that turned out. 2006, one of Iger's first steps was the $7.4 billion purchase of Pixar, making John Lasseter Disney Chief Creative Officer. Which is crazy is the movies that they were making, animated movies that they were making before this, it's like they switched over to 3D and they just couldn't make any 3D movies that felt like Disney, right? They all felt kind of like the like second tier or third tier type animation stuff. You know, the kind of stuff when you go into we used to be able to go to Blockbuster and you would see them on the shelves or whatever. And that kind like, and you wasn't that interested in because but it's kind of the same thing. So as soon as he put Lasseter in charge of this overall Disney animation, this this stuff picked up. That's when you got Zootopia and all these things, right? So, all right. So basically, all right. So it's not even not really that long. So this, okay, that's a short article. So, oh, okay. So he just talking about maybe I'm looking at this wrong. Huh, that's short. Okay, so we get into the second part. So maybe it's the overall thing. All right, so part two, the Grace Mount reset. All right, am I missing something? Oh, that article seems very short. Oh, okay. I missed the continue button. Okay, I thought that was pretty short. All right. Okay. John Lasseter, beloved leader. Okay, describe not everyone. Oh, okay. Like a father, John Lasseter was a perfectionist. His insistence on absolute perfection was notorious for everyone who worked for him, meaning everyone. I was told numerous stories of his almost stone cold criticism of their creative choices. When presenting one's ideas to Lasseter, all emotion would drain from his body. He would matter of factly tell you why your ideas suck and then tell you how to make it better. Many who understood John Lasseter saw it as a stinging learning opportunity, yet his tough love was applied equally to all. Yeah, this is kind of like this type of dude is probably as hard on himself as other people as he is on other people. It's kind of like Michael Jordan. If you've seen The Last Dance, Michael Jordan was a hard dude to play with, but if you were able to handle it, you raise your game to a higher level, and a lot of people can't handle that. So that's the ones who whine a lot. Not everyone saw it that way. One source recounted observing a prominent figure in Pixar who had their idea derided by Lasseter and took it as a personal attack on not just their ideas but also on them. It was apparent to his observer that this fatherly persona of warm and loving Lasseter was instantly dashed. Yeah, some people can handle that. People always ask. What's funny to me is the amount of people who say that they want honesty, but actually don't. It's like they like being lied to, being told that they're awesome. It's like, but in the long run, that actually won't help you. But many consider Lasseter's most significant attributes soon turn into a weapon against him. From a management standpoint, his insistence on perfection means that most creative decisions above a project had to be run by him. This single point of approval created a bottleneck at Disney Animation and Pixar. Projects were delayed because people were waiting for Lasseter's approval. This problem reached a boiling point amongst Disney executives with the failure of The Good Dinosaur. Maybe John is biting off more than he can chew. Then there's the corporate ego. Okay. All right, so I'm not gonna read all of this, but let's see if we can get to he liked to drink, and I heard that he liked to hug, like he was a hugger. So they kind of used all of that to really get rid of him. All right, John Lasseter, the scapegoat, in October 2017. News of decades of alleged sexual misconduct by prolific movie producer mogul Harvey Weinstein. They were okay. This is the Me Too stuff. Like lightning in a bottle, Lasseter fell victim to the Weinstein effect. Reports of his inappropriate behavior made their way to the public and the board. According to Hollywood Reporter's Kim Masters, a longtime Pixar employee, said that Lasseter was known for grabbing, kissing, and making comments about physical attributes. As this accusation circulated Disney, our sources questioned how these stories were framed as malicious and possibly unfair accusations against Lasseter. The craziest thing about this Me Too stuff is that it actually didn't help women. Right? That's the crazy part. It actually made their situations in corporate America actually worse. Because of the amount of people who, like this, made something bigger than it probably was in order to actually get rid of something. So the usual corporate like stuff, maneuvering or whatever. Like wildfire, these rumors, innuendos spread quickly, causing many to question and consider their most recent interactions with Lasseter. For example, Masters reported that he made an unwanted advance toward Toy Story 4 writer Rashida Jones. Though Masters immediately quotes Jones as refuting the claim, "We did not leave Pixar because of unwanted advances. That is untrue. The damage was done." So that's a lie. So, yeah. And that's basically the part, like I said, that did not help Me Too stuff. Because all the guys who actually did stuff, they got lumped together with all the guys who didn't do anything, who were either in positions of power that were in the way of somebody, or somebody that like they said or did something that somebody didn't like. All right, so we did not leave. According to Variety, Lasseter's exploits bloom, stating that he had a reputation for touching women inappropriately, including rubbing their legs and kissing them on the lips. Lasso was also reprimanded for making out with a subordinate at an Oscar party in 2010. Okay. Okay. So in November 2017, he let leave of absence. Okay. It became apparent in the walls of Disney that anyone supporting Lasseter must immediately go into protection mode by keeping their questions and opinions to themselves. The office culture at the House of Mouse changed drastically overnight. Sources observed that the mood was grim and going from bad to worse. The warm family environment would never return. Regarding Lasseter's innocence or guilt, sources did not outright believe the accusations against Lasseter, but they had questions. See, you get the wrong people into your company, they can screw your company up. Okay. So sorry. It appeared that the policy pieces were in place, with certain executives wanted to oust Lasseter, and a growing faction within the rank and file pressing forward with a stack of allegations against him that to this day goes unprosecuted and unproven. It's amazing how that happens. It's like once they come with all this stuff against you, and once you get to the point where you're no longer a threat, all that stuff just magically goes away. It's crock. Okay. With pressure from the top to bottom, in June 2018, Lasseter announced that he will leave the company at the end of the year. One source told us that during an all-hands meeting, once the announcement was made, a female employee raised her hand and asked, "Can we have a woman to run this place now?" Yeah. You hired a bunch of people who don't actually believe in merit, who don't seem to understand that sometimes some people are just called to do stuff, and that anybody can do what they did. And given the state of Pixar right now, after he left, yeah, it is pretty obvious who the spark at Pixar was. The source mentioned that Disney had plenty of qualified women in positions of authority, and it was repugnant how they planned to replace a single man, John Lasseter, who arguably made billions for the company, with someone solely on the qualification that the person was female, rather than find someone, female or male, who had the passion, experience, and talent to take the company where it needed to go creatively. Common sense would tell you that the experience matters over more in business than your appearance. So, okay. Arguably, Lasseter's departure also marked the start of the steady and creative decline of the Walt Disney Company. Yeah. There's no coincidence that when that happened, everything went to crap. Basically, his last film that he did was Coco, and I think for most people, that will be considered the best best last thing that Disney put out. So, hey, congratulations, you got what you wanted. The next people in charge were easier on you, and you got to put out whatever damn crap you wanted to. They basically made a movie. I don't I didn't watch Soul. It's like at that point I was kind of like a little burnt out on what Pixar was becoming. I had no interest in the Raya and the dragon thing because that came out right after Mulan, and it's like girl boss movies. Like I'm over that. I have no problem with female characters, but not how they write them nowadays, where they just are perfect and it just you're basically waiting for everyone else to figure that out. So okay, so by the many fans of us believe that Coco is Pixar's crowning achievement in its prolific catalog. See, by a company's own admission, the creative cracks started to appear in the next features. Cars 3, they began implying gender-based statistical analysis to story development, i.e., counting lines of dialogue. That is not how you make like entertainment. It's like you cannot. While there is a process, like I said earlier, to how you make and tell a good story, doing statistics and counting the amount of lines of dialogue based on the genitalia of the person giving it is not one of those, right? There's a reason why we have been telling the same kinds of stories for as long as I can remember, and more so because you can go back to Greek times, and the way they tell stories is this is the way we tell stories now. So I don't know. And the funny thing is, like, when he set up shop someplace else, pretty much all of the best employees at Pixar left to go with him. So he couldn't have been that bad. So what you have at Pixar right now is leftovers. So in the following weeks, all right. So I will go into the second part, I think, probably next week. So there's a part 2 to this. Though he was never officially charged with formal harassment claims or indictment, and we have very little evidence one way or the other, our sources point that the talent who eventually defected to Disney and filed a lawsuit Skydance Animation was an indicator of the veracity of the allegations laid against him. Yes. So, like I said before, Me Too was started with the right intentions, but the wrong type of folks started using it for nefarious reasons, and it wind up screwing women in the end. So, all right. Now I'm going to finish off this particular episode by checking out Xbox's developer direct. I kind of bounced around a little bit because I wanted to discuss this with because I was supposed to have someone who's going to join me, but I guess they're not able to do it. But so I just thought I'd check that particular article out. So let's check out this instead. So all right. Let's share this tab. Let's pop this down. Bring this over here. Alrighty then. So I can actually see what I look like. Okay. So before I get started, I created all this little intro stuff to give like a little bit of visual to break up this chit chatting. So next level. All right, so I'm probably gonna skip through this a little bit because I kind of want to watch the trailers, and I took a little bit too long discussing that last little article. So, all right, let's skip ahead a little bit. All right, okay. But this is kind of the thing that I'm talking about is if you show people like, all right, who work at your company, but you only pick out like most of these companies, most of the people who work at most of these companies are white. It's like if you ever seen anything that like one, white people make up the majority of the company, and two, if you go to any of these things, it's gonna be mostly white people. So what they do is they go find the few minorities that work there, the handful of gay people that work there, and they stick them in the front of the thing to virtue signal about how progressive they are. But you basically make them into show ponies. So what you have is like when they have one of these direct things, they get some chick who works and that has nothing to actually do with the development of the game to talk. It's like, well, why are you here? And you just saw that. It's like everyone in the beginning was some sort of marginalized person. It's like I wish they would stop doing this. It's like they have people who have something to say. Just give those people the opportunity, but they don't because a lot of times those people don't have the same viewpoint on stuff as they would like them to have. And that's the worst thing you can be is one of these marginalized people and have their own viewpoint. All right, it's a little loud. Okay.
Here to talk more about Avowed's combat is Gabriel Paramo, gameplay director.
Here at Obsidian, our team's overarching goal is to empower you with choice. So we developed a flexible combat system that allows you to quickly swap from spellcasting and sharpshooting to melee combat. We want to give you the freedom to mix and match your loadout to fit the way you want to play from moment to moment, uninterrupted. For all battles, you can combine a variety of weapons, attacks, and abilities for tactical advantages against a wide range of enemy types. It's not just hacking and slashing. You're making real-time decisions about when to use your abilities, powerful melee attacks, blocks, parries, and special attacks. If you choose to approach combat with a one-handed wand, it feels quick and snappy when dealing damage to enemies at mid-range. Using the Tanglefoot ability, you can stop enemies in their tracks, giving you the opportunity to focus on weaker or tougher combatants in an intentional and controlled manner.
Okay.
It's important to pay attention to the types of enemies you're dealing with. Some units are extremely defensive, some are brutishly difficult, and others you must make sure you prioritize or their healing capabilities will put you in a tough spot. To help with the different encounters you will face, we provide customizable loadouts that can be quickly switched during combat. That means you can play however you want. Equip a sword and shield and charge into battle. Dual-wield pistols and control the encounter mid-range.
All right. So I wonder if this is alpha. Well, no, it's not alpha because it actually has all the textures and all that stuff. I wonder how far into their development cycle are they? Because it has all the I used to be a game tester and I tested on like it was a long time ago, like 10, 11 years ago. And I tested on Borderlands when it first came out. It's like a NBA 2K because I used to work for Take Two. And when you see these games when they first come out and the state that they're in, it's like there's no texture. See, all of this would just be gray, and they would have some animations and all that. So they're a little bit further along in the development of this game. That seems very slow, like in terms of the combat and all that. So I don't know how. Yeah, it seems kind of slow. And he said like quick. The even when he switched to their quick weapon, that seems slow too.
Or even dual-wield wands to
Oh,
feel like
that's
a
a little
gunslinging mage. You could use your enchanted wand to freeze enemies, and then use your offhand weapon's power attack to shatter them. We've worked
Awesome,
hard
that's a little
to
bit
keep you
better.
constantly engaged as battles unfold by creating a balance between pressure and manageability during combat.
Players will have ample choices for how to build and progress their envoy in the world of the Living Lands as they get to know the game and the story and explore the many diverse regions. Some quests in Avowed will have you make difficult decisions with profound consequences, like this side quest you may encounter in Shatterscarp, the third region you'll explore on your journey through the Living Lands. As you're exploring, you come across the bodies of these fallen soldiers. And as you explore the remains of the battle, it's up to you to determine who, if anyone, is at fault.
Just the four of us. Manu, Kiri, Naoki, and me. Training under Captain Ruiki. Trying to keep Thirdborn safe.
Oh, the
In other
animations look
words,
cool.
You're a gang of vigilantes. Not that I'm one to judge.
Here. Take my badge. Take everyone's. Our families deserve to know we fought and died for them.
Making the right choice isn't always
Well,
what it
you probably could
seems.
heal him.
We embrace moral
You're a
nuance
mage,
and
right?
gray areas, trusting players to make tough decisions in complicated situations.
Mhm.
My squad and I rested in the cave by the water last night, and as we were sleeping, we were ambushed by those miserable Zorips. I was so surprised, and it was so dark.
Dude, the facial
just got
animation is
separated
actually
from
really
everyone
good.
else. Look, I can't face those monsters alone, but I have to know if anyone else made it out. Of course he did. Sergeant Asui never has a thought he won't say out loud. So what did he tell you? That Captain Ruiki was sick? That I was paranoid? That I was a dumb baby? I heard it all often and loudly. Wait, if you found Sergeant Asui, why is he not here with you? What happened?
At the end of the quest, you have a choice. When you confront Private Naoki, if you believe the story he's told you, you can hand over the badges and let him go back home.
You're right. Real battle isn't something you can prepare for, is it? It's not my fault. No, they should have never have camped in the cave. I'll take the badges. I'm going back to Thirdborn.
But if you confront him, if you
Oh,
believe
his
that he
accent's
fled the
really
site of the
loud.
battle as an act of cowardice, then he might challenge you to a fight to reclaim his honor. Either way, when you return to town, you'll see the consequences of your actions and the choices you made during this quest. Creating an immersive experience like Avowed is anchored in the world we build. Art director Matt Hansen and the team have worked to create a unique, colorful, and dynamic visual style.
From the outset, we knew that we wanted a Avowed setting to feel rich, weird, and wonderful. We found inspiration in a wide swath of real-world cultures, helping us create a unique RPG experience. By contrasting the vibrant with the dull, or verdant spaces with sickly ones, we can better deliver complex emotional experiences for our players. The Living Lands is a continent of untamed valleys with widely varied biomes, from luxuriant forests to volcanic wastes, and each of those regions itself is a conflux of storied landscapes. All of the regions have a lot of special things associated with them, but I have a deep place in my heart for Shatterscarp. As you're wandering the wastes of Shatterscarp, you might notice off in the distance a vibrant jewel of color. By transitioning from destitute, muted tones of a wasteland of sand and marching in towards a beautiful oasis, there's the opportunity there for life, for adventure, and even a little danger.
We hope you've enjoyed this look at Avowed. We're thrilled to share more about the game in the coming months, and we can't wait for you to explore the Living Lands when Avowed launches this fall.
Oh, so they pretty much done then. All right, so what's next? Oh, I mean, that looked okay. Oh, it's just I don't know. It didn't. The good thing about these games is that they're gonna be on Game Pass, so you can just try whatever you feel like it. But is this Senua's Saga?
We're now in the
Hellblade?
final months of development on Senua's Saga
There you
Hellblade
go.
2, and the team is working hard to bring you an
I
unforgettable
did not play the
journey
first one.
into Senua's unique world and her battle for survival, where we have once again combined high fidelity and immersive presentation with a shorter, narrative-led experience that focuses on the things that we really care about, and that we hope you care about too.
You see how surrounding you are. You see how the pitiless world stamps you down.
Senua is back with a new quest. She wants to stop the Vikings who raided her village right at their source, in Iceland. But not just her quest has changed. Senua herself has grown since the first Hellblade. She's made peace with her past and is no
I
longer
think this
in
is
such
on
fear of her visions and
Game
voices.
Pass, like the
While the
first
Furies
one.
are still her constant companions, she encounters new people along the way, some of which will
I
value
never
her
felt that
new
inclined to
perspective,
try it.
and others who will reject it.
Little by little, this settlement became my tribe.
In the game, Senua arrives in 10th century Iceland on the trail of the Vikings who have been enslaving her people. In the story, we're trying to be as faithful to history as we can up to a point, establishing a solid framework and then building more surreal elements on top. Senua will face up to giants who have
All right, what does that mean? Up to a point. I'm a little curious of what that actually means.
plunged the land into chaos, and which in turn has seen the rise of the Droiga, a violent threat that has swept through the settlements that she'll discover. Senua will make new enemies and also new allies who will come to see her unique perspective as a beacon of hope. And she'll discover, along with us, how this viewpoint can have its advantages.
Senua is a Celtic warrior who experiences psychosis, seeing things that other people don't, hearing voices, and having unique beliefs about the world around her. To bring Senua's perspective of the world to life in a truthful way, we have once again worked closely with Professor Paul Fletcher at the University of Cambridge, as well as people with lived experience of psychosis.
What does that mean? What does that mean? It's terrifying.
Players will find themselves traversing beautiful and hostile environments, seeking answers from patterns and signs that Senua sees in her own unique way, and battling through encounters with enemies that will push Senua to her limits.
On Saga, we've taken everything to the next level. With a new motion capture space, a bigger stage team, a stunt crew, and a new cast.
We spent a lot of time planning the motion capture shoots, thinking of what events would be good to bring into this fight. Like, how can we make this fight feel different from the previous fight? We have all new combat for the sequel. One of our key goals was the ability to actually tell a story throughout it. It does feel very different from the first game, but it's very brutal and you're very invested in it. Senua isn't a superhero. She's fighting for survival, and we want the player to feel her struggle in every step of her journey. We want the player to always feel like they just scraped through, just survived it.
Okay.
Mel knows Senua better than anyone, better than I do. Her instincts are amazing, and she really doesn't need much help from me. On stage, our main focus is storytelling. So I get to watch the actors and see all the beautiful expressions on their faces. And then I have to wait a little while, and then I get to see that all again in-game, in costume, on location, everything. It's a great experience, a great process.
Every discipline in the studio is unified in achieving a deep level of immersion to help suspend your disbelief and pull you into Senua's story. We were lucky enough to do a few reference gathering trips in Iceland. You have to be there. The sense of scale, everything is incredible. And you see a scene or you see a small section of the game and you're like, yeah, that works. That's amazing.
Senua experiences reality differently, and a part of this manifests in the voices she hears.
She will collapse. She will collapse.
These voices come to life through binaural audio, which provides a good representation of this type of auditory hallucinations. As we focus in immersion, binaural audio is perfect for this because through headphones, you surround yourself in a three-dimensional space. In the first game, we only applied to the voices that Senua listens in her head. In this game, through a spatial audio technology and some extra little things within the game, there is music that is binaural. Every single sound has the potential to be binaural, so everything is spatialized around you, and it's a very beautiful experience.
What will they do to her? What will we do to us?
Music is a strange language in the sense that it speaks to our emotions fast and deep. It's not only about quality, it's about personality. So when you listen to Hellblade, you know it's Hellblade. On the music, we are working with Heilung, which for me is a personal privilege because I really admire them. We feel their craft, their depth, their meaning in the music. It really connects with our game and elevates it to something really special. We are also working with a heavy metal singer, throat singers, and our very own Furies. They sing so beautiful, and we add that binaural touch of music. So this all creates a very immersive and a very special and unique experience.
Our mission here at Ninja Theory is to craft life-changing art with game-changing tech. And that's our aim in Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, is to not only see where Senua goes next, but to deliver something really meaningful for our players.
My hope is that they will really connect to Senua as a character, and even if they can't
Moving a
really
little
relate
slow.
to what she's going through, maybe they know someone that relates to that character and they can then understand that person better.
Well, I don't want to sound cheesy, but in a way I'm Senua, right? She exists and doesn't. It exists through all of our work, through every ninja. So we all are Senua, and we are creating this character that grows and grows and grows and grows and keep growing and keep changing. So that makes it real.
I'm so proud of the love, care, and passion our team here at Ninja Theory are putting into Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. Our hope is to not only create a game that is great to play, but to craft an experience that leaves you thinking and feeling. From our combat gameplay through to our action set pieces, from our cinematic scenes to our puzzle solving, everything is crafted in service of Senua's journey, a journey that you can embark on May 21st.
Okay. All right. Well, that looks actually interesting. The one thing I have been complaining about is the sameness of games, and that doesn't look sameness. So it's on Game Pass, so give it a try. I mean, what can hurt, right? So all right, there's Visions of Mana and Indiana Jones that are next. Oh, the thing that I was thinking of when this was they were talking about it is I have some software that is like a musical software, and it lets you make your sounds and everything in 3D space. So it's like a lot of games are adding more and more interesting takes on audio. So should be interesting to see what they do. All right. Square Enix, huh? All right.
Greetings, Xbox players. My name is Masaru Oyamada, producer for the Mana series here at Square Enix. 聖剣伝説ビジョンズ・オブ・マナの情報を Xbox ユーザーの皆さんにいち早くお伝えできる機会をいただけて大変光栄です。コンソールゲームとしては約17年ぶりとなる聖剣伝説シリーズの完全新作。聖剣伝説シリーズは1991年にファイナルファンタジー外伝として誕生して以降、マナと聖剣をめぐって描かれる愛をテーマに、個性豊かなキャラクターたち、心に響く楽曲の数々、武器の特性を生かして戦うアクション RPG として、これまでに17作発売され、長らく愛されてきました。本作は30年以上の歴史あるシリーズの最新作となるため、これまで培われてきた聖剣伝説としての世界をしっかり感じられるものを目指して鋭意制作中です。フィールドでは自然や精霊とのつながりを感じられる色彩豊かな聖剣伝説の世界を体験してもらえると思います。
So it's
シリーズおなじみのモンスターたちも本作に登場しています。
kind of art style, which looks like the 2D games actually.
今回これらのおなじみのモンスターたちを作り出した聖剣伝説の生みの親である石井浩一さんとともに聖剣伝説ビジョンズ・オブ・マナの内容を紹介していきたいと思います。
Nice action pose.
Hello, I am Koichi Ishii from Grabs.
Hello.
I'm so happy to introduce the newest game in the Mana series to Xbox players. 初期の頃からシリーズ作品に登場しているモンスターたちは私が考案したものですが、中には小学生の頃、すでにイメージができていたものもあります。今作では、はじめはドット絵からスタートしたモンスターたちをどのような形で最新化して、聖剣伝説ビジョンズ・オブ・マナに落とし込むか、デザインの方向性からモデルの完成イメージまでを監修する立場でプロジェクトに参加しました。聖剣伝説ファイナルファンタジー外伝を作っていた頃から、自分の頭の中ではモンスターたちは立体的に生き生きと動いて、これまで自分が携わった作品では、それらをどうやって当時の技術で表現できるかにこだわって作ってきました。最新作では、聖剣伝説のモンスターたちのただ可愛いだけではなく、恐ろしさの部分もしっかりと表現できているので、バトル中はモンスターたちの表情にも注目してください。
I wonder if this is just
これ
single
まで
player.
聖剣伝説シリーズには空を旅する、海を渡る手助けをしてくれる頼もしい仲間たちがいましたが、今作には広大なフィールド探検に欠かせない新たな仲間が登場します。
Wow.
陸上を猛スピードで駆け回ってくれるピックル。ピックルも石井さんが新たに考案してくださっています。
新たな仲間を考えるにあたって、
Dog from hell.
今作のマスコットキャラクターになるくらい可愛い動物にしたいという漠然とした思いがありました。その上で、ヨークシャテリアの毛並み、見た目はアルマジルによく似た仙山港や古代エジプト神のアヌビスの子供といった具体的なイメージが浮かんできて、それぞれの特徴を取り入れながらラフデザインを書き起こしました。デザイナーにもアイデアを出してもらいながら、足の長さや丸まった時のイメージなど、ゲームの中での見え方も考えながら調整を重ねていき、ピックルは誕生しました。
もう一つの挑戦は楽曲面です。過去、様々なコンポーザーが携わられた楽曲の雰囲気が感じられつつも、最新作として素晴らしい新たな楽曲が生まれました。BGM でもしっかり聖剣伝説シリーズらしさを感じてもらえると思います。過去シリーズの楽曲を手掛けたクリエイターたちが全100曲という大ボリュームの制作に挑んでくれました。新たな試みとしてフィールドの探索からバトルまでをシームレスに体験できるよう、今作ではインタラクティブミュージックを導入しており、冒険の没入感を高めてくれます。 探索中の BGM がバトルに入った瞬間、アレンジが切り替わる様を実際に聞いてみましょう。
Like I said, I've only played like a couple of these games, and they were pretty fun. So
今作はアクション
I may give this a
RPG
shot.
聖剣伝説のアクション部分が強化されています。
I wonder what other systems that this is coming out on.
空中でのアクションがバトルの鍵となっており、武器での攻撃だけでなく、魔法での攻撃も可能になっています。
It'd be cool if this is
そ
co-op.
して本作ならではの特徴として、聖剣伝説シリーズではおなじみの精霊たちがいますが、
Wow.
その力を宿した武器を使うと、バトルを手助けしてくれるようになります。精霊によっては様々な特性の違いがありますので、その効果とともに聖剣伝説の世界らしい不思議な力で爽快なバトルを楽しんでいただけます。
オリジナルモンスターやピックリにも注目してほしいのですが、聖剣伝説ビジョンズ・オブ・マナーは聖剣伝説らしさを感じてもらえる作品になるよう、小山田くんを中心にチームのみんなが頑張って作ってくれていますので、ぜひ発売日を楽しみに待っていてください。私自身もプレイするのを楽しみにしています。
聖剣伝説シリーズとして初めて Xbox ユーザーの皆さんにお届けする本作、聖剣伝説ビジョンズ・オブ・マナーは今後も様々な情報をお届けしていきますので、ぜひご期待ください。この夏、この忘れられない冒険を Xbox ユーザーの皆さんに楽しんでいただける日が今から待ちきれません。
Okay. All right. That looked pretty cool. I probably have to get a hold of at some point I need to get an Xbox, a Series X. But I haven't had anything that actually makes me want to get one. Like Starfield looked interesting until I seen other people play it. So I have a PlayStation 5, but I'm not necessarily I'm not a Sony fanboy, but my system of choice has been the Xbox for a minute now because I've had every one. So something to play. There doesn't seem to be much of that. So there's one left. Dun 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 dun. Dun. Should be one left. Say 4 games.
Hello, and welcome to Oxide Games. We founded the studio in 2013 with our decades of personal experience building some of the most beloved strategy games of all time, like Civilization V. We came together to create something new and innovative in a genre we all love.
So I guess there's 2 games.
Our
left.
History Untold is the game we've dreamt of making.
Ara is an homage to historical gamers, strategy gamers, 4X gamers. It features all the depth and gameplay fans of this genre love, where you'll explore the world, expand your nation, govern your people, and engage with your rivals on the international stage. But it isn't just more of the same.
I do like these
With
types
Ara,
of games.
we wanted to
I feel
challenge
like a
some
little
of the
general.
preconceived notions about the genre, push it forward in a modern, empowering, and truly compelling and approachable way.
For example, we have over 100 instruments on display in the office, which are all things that we purchased in order to add to the soundtrack and expand the game and make it really good. Hi, Dan. That's Dan. We started in his basement. It's been an amazing process to see from
No, it must have
concept
been
to
the boss.
completion. We started small, building a robust game engine, questioning our design assumptions, and prototyping out features, rediscovering what made us fall in love with strategy games in the first place.
The end result is Ara, the historical grand strategy game that presents a living world where you can rule how you want to rule and chart your own path to becoming the most prestigious nation on the planet.
For Aura, we knew we needed deep systems with outcomes that encourage exploration and give players the power to experiment and make meaningful strategic choices while still having agency over their playstyle.
We also wanted to explore more in different parts of history and give players from around the world the chance to see the game reflect their unique perspective and not just ours.
And finally, we knew that for players to feel the impact of their decisions, they would need to see their choices reflected in the game world itself, not just through numbers on a menu. One of the first differences you'll see when you dive into Aura is what we call the living world. It's a procedurally generated alternate Earth, bursting with life, an intuitive, authentic, and immersive space, a blank canvas for players to paint the society of their dreams.
The living world isn't just a map. It reflects the choices players make over the course of the game. They can see everything from the settling of the wilderness to cultural influence on architecture over time, to the thousands of citizens living their lives and reacting to the changes. We want players to feel like they're truly occupying the world, leading their people as they thrive and grow. Core to the vision of Aura is our philosophy of rule how you want to rule. And no feature better exemplifies this than the Prestige system.
To win a game of Aura, players will compete with their rivals to build the most influential, impressive, and important nation the world has ever known. This is measured by Prestige, the player's score that proves their worth as a leader.
The Prestige system gives players the chance to decide what kind of leader they want to be. Do they want to pursue great works of arts and culture? Military might.
Crazy psychopath?
Scientific advancement. The choice is theirs.
They have
In Aura, there are no set victory conditions. Players get to decide what is most important to them and focus and prioritize on those goals while still being able to win the game.
Personally, when I play Aura, I like to build triumphs. Triumphs are our collection of incredible monuments and architectural achievements from throughout human history. Like the Great Pyramid of Giza. They're hard to build, but worth it, giving huge prestige bonuses and game-changing abilities to the nation that constructs them.
All right, this is not necessarily
Another
like
aspect
new
of
because
Aura
they've
that
had
I'm
other
personally
strategy
excited
games
about
where it was
is
the
our
same
crafting
thing.
system.
Whereas
The
like
crafting
you hit a
system
certain
offers a
point and
unique
that's how you
challenge
win
to
the
the player
game.
that they generally won't see
So,
often in the 4X genre. Succeeding at balancing, gathering the right things, turning them into the tools that you need, and then finally getting to the outcome or reward of something like an important improvement or triumph just changes the challenge that exists in Aura compared to other 4X games.
Crafting plays out in Aura at a national scale, with players honing and combining the natural resources they harvest into all manner of goods and components. Those are the foundation for everything, from international trade to improving their cities and citizens' lives, and even manufacturing the weapons necessary to draft military units. The crafting system in Aura encourages thoughtful, advanced planning. It rewards players who can see the strategic outcome of all their collective decisions, and not just the individual ones.
I'm proud of the work that's gone into our simultaneous turn system. Many strategy games have players alternate taking turns and reacting to their opponent's moves. In Aura, all players' actions are resolved at the same time. This rewards players' ability to navigate uncertainty, to predict and strategically plan for a variety of scenarios in the moment. This system makes Aura just feel more real. In a typical strategy game, once your turn is finished, you have to wait for a long time. With simultaneous turns, generally speaking, those times are very low. You get to keep playing the game and stay engaged rather than having those periods of downtime where you're not doing anything.
It's not easy sifting through all of history and picking what to include. For Aura, we wanted to offer a fresh perspective, so we looked at cultures and societies throughout the millennia with the broadest lens possible.
Where this approach really shines is in our leaders. Leaders are so often seen as military personnel or prominent government figures. But leaders come in so many different forms. They're thought leaders, scientific and cultural prodigies, and many more.
Each leader in Aura has a number of special abilities determined by their personality traits, as well as a powerful and unique leader trait informed by their contributions to world history.
With a diverse global roster, we know players will find leaders that they will want to play. And even a few that may surprise them with how fun it is when those leaders are handed the reins of power.
For us at Oxide, player feedback is the only way to really understand what you're making. It gives us that priceless perspective from the people we're making Aura for, you.
Building the game alongside real players has given us that critical player feedback. In the end, we believe this makes for a deeper connection between the players and the game.
One of my favorite examples is when we first introduced the concept of dangerous wildlife to the game. It turns out, in our first iteration, it was maybe a little bit too aggressive or disruptive. We knew we should probably make a change when one of our insiders made a forum post that was just,
Cougars, cougars,
Cougars, I hate cougars!
someone get these feline demons away from me.
Build a fence. They
I'm
can't get
happy
in.
to report, based on more recent feedback, that I think we ended up in a good place with the overall threat level of mountain lions to a player's citizenry.
It's been years of hard work to bring you a strategy experience like no other. And we're so excited that we can finally see the finish line. We can't wait for players to get their hands on the game later this year.
But the launch of ARA is only the beginning. We are going to maintain our insider program after the release date and continue to listen to players and support the game into the future.
On behalf of everyone at Oxide Games, thank you for joining us today. We can't wait for you to play ARA and to create your own history.
Okay. That was real-time strategy games have been around for a long time. A large chunk of them, you do your thing while the computer is doing their thing at the same time. I think some of them were turn-based kind of things, like Civilization was. So it's weird that the way that they're describing stuff that has been in existence in these games for a long time. So that's a little weird. Most leaders, as far as I know, throughout history, tend to be more on the combat side because you kind of need it to be, I guess, in order to keep your people from harm. They've been other real-time strategy games that have had wildlife. What you do is you build a fence. So I wonder if you can't build fences because you just build a gate, then that keeps the wildlife out. But I don't know. This is like it's only going to be on PC, and this is something to try. I don't know. I don't think it shouldn't be a system buster, so it could be interesting to try. No, I don't know. I never heard of this. X, I guess, but I never paid attention to who made Civilization, I guess. All right. This one I was waiting on.
Hej och välkommen till Uppsala, Sverige, här hos Machine Games. We are really excited to finally be able to share our work on Indiana Jones. Since the
I've heard
first
mixed
film
things
came
about
out,
this trailer.
Indiana Jones has always represented the ultimate adventure.
I
Even
had that
today,
game, yeah.
it's one of the most iconic franchises in pop culture. In this game, you are
I have played
just
many of these
playing as in
Indiana
you
Jones
are
games.
Indiana Jones. You will see through his eyes and experience a journey that we hope lives up to the proud legacy of Indiana Jones. When Todd Howard first told us about his vision for the game, we knew we would be a very good fit to help bring it to life.
I've wanted to make an Indiana Jones game forever. I'd had this idea for what it would be like and the story, what Indy was going after, what period of his life it was in, what kind of arc he was going to have. And as the years went on, I thought, who would be like the best studio in the world to make this? And it was my friends at Machine Games. I can remember pitching Lucasfilm on the game and being, a little bit nervous because, look, it's, Indiana Jones, and their response was just overwhelmingly positive, and just that excitement has bled through the
exactly
whole
help you,
project,
man.
and they have just been so
'Cause,
trusting and supportive of everything
Lucasfilm has
that we
not
want to
been
do with the game.
batting
It's
very
been a long
well.
time. I've been a fan of this my whole life,
Hitting
and I
around
couldn't be more
the
excited to
100.
show you what the team here has been up to. Let's take our first look at the new Indiana Jones game.
And your last game wasn't that great, so
Let me
just hope
tell
for the
you
best
what
because I
you
love Indiana Jones.
Dr. Jones. While you were playing your pointless game, I was playing you. You're wondering if maybe you should have built yourself a life of meaning instead of ending up here, dead and forgotten in the sense of Africa.
Myths. History.
I wonder if that's
Different
actually
ways to
Harrison
interpret the
Ford.
past.
Wait, no, doesn't sound like him. I mean, it sounds like him, but doesn't sound like
Thousands of
him.
years of humanity's thoughts and beliefs, scattered and buried, just waiting to be found.
You can't just run away from your problems, Indiana.
Watch me. Throughout history, mankind has built sites of great spiritual significance. If you were to draw a line through these ancient sites around the globe, you get a perfectly aligned circle. I've had run-ins with these guys before. Trust me, it ain't a walk in the park.
Okay, then. Let's see if you can keep up.
What do you mean if I could keep up?
Crazy. That's crazy.
Patron of the fallen angels. Protector of the Chukwuemani. The Great Circle. You have any idea how old that was?
Indiana Jones is such an iconic character, and he means so much to so many people. Everyone here at the studio has their own indie stories and memories. Most of us grew up with his adventures and have been fans of the movies and the character for years. He's a brilliant archaeologist, he's a charismatic everyman, he's passionate and determined. And for us, he's synonymous with adventure.
Now we have the opportunity to tell a new Indiana Jones story for a modern gaming audience. Our game is all about putting you in Indy's shoes, letting you see and feel what he sees and feels. For us at Machine Games, we do that best through first person. It's the ideal perspective to bring you into the rich, exciting, and interactive world we've built. We believe that being up close and personal to the adventure is key, making each action feel like your own.
Whether it's cracking your whip, solving puzzles in ancient temples, or seeing your knuckles go bloody in a fistfight, all of these moments are much more intense in first person. But we still want you to have those moments. Seeing his iconic silhouette with the hat, the whip, and so for things like cutscenes and environmental traversal, we pull the camera back for a third-person view. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is set between Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade.
When our game begins, Indiana is working at Marshall College. He wakes up in the middle of the night to the sounds of a break-in and rushes to confront the thief in the college museum. The mysterious giant of a man makes off with what seems to be a historically insignificant artifact, sparking Indiana's curiosity.
Who the hell are you?
Following the trail, Indiana heads to the Vatican, hoping to learn why this particular relic was stolen, and discovers that things aren't what they appear.
He starts pulling at the strings of a mystery, and it all unravels until he has no choice but to see it through to the end, whatever the end may be.
On next plane to Rome. Stop. Need help. Stop. Meet me in Vatican. Stop. Indy.
We always talk about how clever Indiana Jones is. That had to be one of our guiding principles when we were thinking about the type of game
we were making. It wouldn't be Indy if he wasn't using his wits to get through the situation. The most authentic Indiana Jones experience we can make is the one that makes you think first.
Getting the hang of this.
Sure, there will be some obstacles that will be more easily overcome with the revolver or a gun taken from a disarmed guard. But I think most of the time you'll have more fun and, to be honest, a more genuine indie experience by finding more clever ways to solve a problem.
We always want to be offering more solutions, whether it's trying a different path through the environment to get around enemies, observing enemy patrols and using them to your advantage, or using the tools at your disposal, like the whip.
It's an amazing global adventure with action propelling you through your journey.
We have these really diverse environments for you to explore. Indy's journey will take him to the forgotten temples of Sukhothai, the pyramids of Egypt, the snow-peaked Himalayas, and beyond.
We look carefully at each location and the time period the game is set in, and we're trying to make it as authentic and accurate as possible.
We love creating rich, vibrant worlds, and in this game, we also had the goal of making it feel like a true cinematic Indiana Jones adventure.
One of the biggest ways to do that is with the music. John Williams is the original composer for the Indy films, and we're really lucky to have found Gordy Hub, a composer who's been able to capture Williams' essence with his score for The Great Circle.
We also take a very movie-like approach to things like cinematics. We're very physical with our production style. We use a lot of stunt actors. Things like this help us bridge the gap between making a game and making a movie.
And of course, our characters do a lot to help bring the world to life as well. Next to Indy, Gina is our other main protagonist. Where Indy is pursuing answers just for the sake of curiosity, Gina has a personal stake in getting to the bottom of the core mystery.
Gina is an investigative reporter who has a lot riding on this adventure. She's been tracking a lead for some time, and
She
now
had better
she's
be
found
the
an
junior
ally
partner in
this
this game.
determined American professor. Their paths are intertwined, and they'll need each other in order to get to the bottom of this mystery.
Okay, then. Let's see if you can keep up.
Fight. What do you mean if I can keep up? We always love our villains and think we might have found our favorite one yet in Emmerich Voss. He's this intensely psychological man. He's obsessed with the human mind and manipulating it.
He's highly intelligent and the perfect foil for Indy. They're both brilliant people, compelled by their passions and obsessions, but driven down wildly different roads.
He creeps up on you and gets under your skin like he gets under Indy's skin. It's captivating.
Dead and forgotten in the sense of Africa.
One of our mottos for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is adventure first. But in every Indy adventure, there are always those moments where he finds himself in the action.
That's been one of those balancing acts for us, and we've ended up with this sort of hybrid experience that mixes melee combat, stealth, and gunplay.
How you approach any given situation is up to you. You may choose to sneak around an enemy patrol, or maybe you'll just pick up a shovel and whack them on the back of their head. And when you can't use your wits, you got Indy's most iconic tool. Just like you see in the movies, one of our goals has been to make the whip as fun and multi-purpose as possible. We want it integrated into every aspect of the game.
You can use it as a traversal tool to make your way around the environment. You can use it as a distraction. And yes, you can absolutely use it in combat. Everything you'd expect from Indy's whip, and hopefully a little bit more. Puzzles are a key feature in our game. The spirit of discovery is so important to Indiana Jones. Obviously, there are a handful of puzzles on the main path, but a lot of the puzzles are optional and are just there for the players who want to experience them. Epic traps, small secrets, and hidden puzzles that blend right in with their surroundings.
One thing I love about our game is the level of interactivity that we have. We have this world of mystery where anything could potentially hide a secret. The more you look, the more you'll discover.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
I want to thank you all for joining us for our big reveal of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Machine Games is known for creating these roller coaster experiences with huge set pieces, surprising twists, and immersive narratives. It's exciting for us that we have been able to stay so true to the Indiana Jones franchise and create such an authentic experience while still being able to showcase what makes us us. We are making a game for everyone, whether you are very familiar with the franchise or not. Because at the heart of Indiana Jones is an incredible adventure, and I think that's something everyone wants to be part of. I'm also very excited to announce that Indiana Jones and the Great Circle will be coming later this year, and we cannot wait to share more soon.
All right. All right. The trailer looked interesting. The trailer actually looked pretty good. I don't want this game to suck, but Todd Howard's last game was not as stellar as it could have been. Machine Games last game was not that great. It was really bad. I don't know how I feel about the sidekick chick. If she plays the typical Indiana Jones girl, like female counterpart part in this game as she did, like that type was in the different movies, it should be great. If they go the route of what a lot of these modern properties are going, where you spend way too much time playing as the character that you wanted to play. So it's like, I want to play Indiana Jones game and I want to basically do 90% Indiana Jones with a little bit of her and her little side stuff, because that archetype has basically in all the first three movies, probably in the fourth one, it has existed. She was always snarky, talking trash, that kind of thing. So I'm hoping for the best because it's Indiana Jones. I love Indiana Jones. All right, so thanks. Well, that's it for today. I've been talking for a good minute now. That's an hour and 30 minutes. Cool. So to all you people out there who check this out later, thanks for joining me. And please do all the YouTube stuff with the like, share, and subscribe, and all that fun stuff. I thank you. So I would like to say later.